How's it going, Probable? And where are you playing out of, sir?
In London, London Hippodrome.
Oh, London Hippodrome. We had a call there. We actually had a call from somebody last week that actually played on the new live stream there. They're playing 2, 5, and 5-10.
Yeah, this game is lower stakes. It's 1-2,
Yeah, so 1 2 pound.
600 effective. 600, I think a couple of guys were not on the table, so 600.
So 600 pounds effective at 1 2. Is there a cap buy-in in this game?
The cap is 400 or 50% of the maximum stack.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yes, and the villain in this hand did have, I think, 1500 in his stack, so I did buy in for around 700. But yeah, it's 600 effective right now. We are under the gun, 5 of clubs, 6 of clubs.
Okay.
I'm starting in this hand.
Straddle for 5, and you're in the $5 straddle. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And folds to button opens to 15.
Okay.
Big blind calls, and I call as well.
So straddle pot 1 2 5. Hero's in the straddle with 5 6 of clubs. Button opens to 15. Big blind calls. I got to tell you, I mean, obviously there are some better hands here to squeeze. I mean, definitely any suited broad, but I think I squeeze here a lot with 5 6 of clubs. You have a late position open, and then you've got a middle blind call. Now, he was only in for 2, but anytime you've got these dead calls in between, it's just really, really ripe for squeezing. I actually think one of the best examples of that, if you're playing a 3 blind structure like you are in this hand, and like say small blind opens and big blind calls, oh my God, I love squeezing in that spot because you have a position over the rest, over your opponent. Here, as long as you get through the button, who can be opening a very, very wide range here. He's actually supposed to be opening slightly tighter because of the fact that there's an extra unknown hand. I do think that I would be 3-betting here a lot. Did you consider 3-betting?
I did consider it, but I ended up just putting 10 pounds more and seeing
So
a cheap flop.
yeah, hero calls. I mean, here's the thing, right? You can do that, right? I just think that you're actually incentivized here because you've got the dead call from the big blind. Because again, these middle blinds should really be playing like a 3-better fold strategy. So when you're talking about just looking on paper, say a button's opening like a 40% range, and then a lot of times the big blind's not going to double flat. It's just weak. If you can get through the button, it's a really profitable spot, which is why I think with a direct suited connector, I probably would I would probably 3-bet here quite a bit. But okay, so you make the call, and it's like maybe 45 pounds or so to the flop.
Yes, the flop. Yes, flop is 4 of spades, 9 of hearts, and 3 of diamonds.
So 9 of hearts, 4 spades, 3 of diamonds. Hero with 5 6. So you flop open ended, right?
Yes.
All right, so you've got an open ended draw here. Okay.
Big blind checks.
Mhm.
I check. Button bets 25.
Okay.
Big blind calls. I raise it to 100.
All right, so let's talk about this first inflection point here. First inflection point. So this is one of these ones where it is top pair dynamic, I like to call it, in the sense that it's hard for somebody to hold on with just top pair. Now, the button is somewhat undefined, but he's very, very wide in this spot. And I think that I probably would be raising here a fair amount if I had played it in this manner. There's one other thing I wanted to consider here too, is that I think sometimes you've got some leads here. The interesting thing about check raising here versus leading, or what you're trying to represent, is that whenever you get a board here where there shouldn't be a whole lot of 2-pair types of holdings present, you have to start to think about, oh, hey, what am I representing? With that being said, though, you actually probably would be quite wide here when you're at $5 in the straddle. Like, I mean, the pot's going to be like 35, it's 10 for you to call. I mean, I don't know if you're going as far down as ever having like 9-4 suited, 3-4 suited, but this is about as wide as it gets for you because you're facing a 3x open, and then you've got somebody else who's called. So you're in a pretty wide spot here. So you can represent a lot of hands. I don't mind the check raise. I don't know if you considered leading, but
No, so villain in this hand, he's a good player. I think he's a CLP member as well.
oh, he's the CLP member as well. Okay.
Yes. So we've played a few times, but not too many times. But he's quite active on Discord as well. I thought that he would definitely range bet on this board. I thought just check raising might be better than leading on this board, but
Did you ever consider calling just to close the action on the flop?
No, I don't think I consider calling.
Okay, I mean, what I would say here is that, I mean, there is always the option to call. I think on the boards that you're going to get more folds. I mean, I like to err towards. I mean, I like to raise more. Like if you had a board of say like Ace King Deuce or something like that, and you had some sort of draw against the preflop raiser, just because you don't have showdown value doesn't necessarily mean that you always get to raise. Sometimes that's a call. This board is obviously different than Ace King Deuce in a single raise pot. So I actually like the raise. You said you raised it to 100. Sometimes I actually would consider leading here in a spot like this. You'd be surprised how many immediate folds you get. Anyways, the button isn't necessarily always betting this board, but I think you do make a good point that it is a pretty good board to bet. So you check raise to 100. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Check raise to 100. Button thinks for a bit and calls, and big blind folds.
All right. So the button calls and the big blind folds. You say the button is a CLP website subscriber. I mean, in order for the button to continue here, I think he's got to have at least with another guy in there. I would say he probably needs to have. I think probably 9x or better here. I mean, even if he's got like a hand like sevens, it's just if he's behind right now, it's he doesn't have a whole lot of equity. Plus, it's multi-way, so he's forced to play a little bit sort of on the tighter side.
I thought his range for calling my check raise was overpairs and pair plus backdoor flush draws, I guess. Maybe ace 5 and ace 2 as well.
Straight draws, right? Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah. Gut shots and maybe backdoor flush draws again. Mostly overpairs.
I mean, if you had like a hand like 4 or 5 or something like that, that might be allowed to be called here some of the time. But again, it's multi-way, so those light calls probably shouldn't be all that represented in a hand like Jack 10 with a backdoor, which would be sort of like 3 to a straight and a flush. Could be defended heads up, multi-way. It's a little bit more dicey. So you make it 100, button calls, big blind gets out of the way. It looks like we're at around 245, right, to the turn?
270. I have it 270.
Oh, because the big blind called. Yeah. Okay. So 270. Yeah. 270 to the turn.
Yes, 270. And the turn is ace of hearts.
So 9 of hearts, 4 of spades, 3 of diamonds. Turn is the ace of hearts. So the 9 of hearts and the ace of hearts are out there. Hero here with 5, 6 of clubs. I don't think, unless he has, right, like you were talking about, like ace deuce, ace 5, ace 4, ace 3, maybe with the backdoor. The ace, I actually don't think is going to hit him all that much because he can't bet call with like ace 10, ace jack, ace queen, ace king with a guy behind him all that much. The question, though, becomes, does this card add any fold equity against a hand like 9x, say like 9x through kings? I would say if I'm the button here and I was playing against a competent player and I bet an overpair and you check raised me and I called and then you fired this turn and let's say I had pocket queens or something like that, it would be kind of interesting because I don't know, like if you started this type of raise with like a wheel draw, like an ace deuce, an ace 5, something like that, would you continue betting this turn or would you check?
I would probably still bet. I was actually a bit conflicted. I couldn't tell if this card was much more better for me or more better for him, because obviously it's difficult for overpairs for now to continue if I bet turn again. At the same time, he could have made 2 pairs as well with the ace 9, ace 5.
It's actually an interesting question. How of his bet calling, so he has a range that he's c betting, right, into 2 people, and then he has a range that he's bet calling a check raise with. So the question becomes, is this ace better for that bet calling range than your range? And it's a kind of a loaded question. Better in the sense that, does it actually improve his hand? It probably improves your hand, maybe more. It's really close. What you could make the argument, though, from his perspective, if he's bluff catching you, that he could just consider this a blank. So you have that added into the equation. That's kind of what I'm trying to get at here. Like, are there hands that he bet calls to a check raise that fold now on an ace? That's the question I'm trying to get at here. What did you end up doing here from up front?
I was confused about the sizing as well. So because I only have I have what, around 500 behind, and I if I bet turn and if I decide to jam river, I was struggling to come up with a size that would leave me enough to have some fold equity if I do decide to jam.
Well, if you went half the size of the pot and then he called, say it was like one, I'm just really, looking at this.
I did end up betting half the size. I ended up betting 130.
So that's going to leave you with what, 370? And then if he calls, the pot's going to be what, like 530?
Yes.
I think that's probably not a bad sizing. You're leaving yourself at 2/3. You're not committing yourself, right? And you're leaving yourself at 2/3 for him to call. Plus, like if you jam, you don't get pot stuck with just a naked open-ended straight draw too.
Yes, I was thinking of maybe 120 or 115, but then I thought if I bet the same as the flop, it might be a bit. I might not get folds because it might, same.
The same bet concept, yeah. I mean, the same bet concept can sometimes go out the window for yourself if you know what you're doing when you're on the shorter stack. But okay, so you go 130.
Yeah, I bet 130, button thinks for a while, and then ends up calling.
All right, so the button calls again. So now the pot is 530.
And we get a lucky river. It's 2 of hearts, so I make my straight. But backdoor hearts come in.
So the deuce of hearts comes at the end. And so hero makes the nut straight. There's a one-liner out there to a 5. And backdoor hearts now come in. I would never really be, especially off of this stack size, I would have almost no consideration for the backdoor hearts. What I mean by that is that he really shouldn't ever really have much hearts here unless he had kind of like the same straight draw that you did that bet called the flop, like a hand like 5-6 of hearts or like 5-7 of hearts or something like that, because the ace of hearts came on the turn. So it's very difficult for him to have, I think, 4x or 3x of hearts here. He can't have ace 4 of hearts. I suppose he could have like a hand like 5-4 of hearts, maybe, but nothing really that connects with the 3. So because the ace of hearts comes on the turn and the 9 of hearts is out there, meaning that like can't have like 8-9 of hearts, the backdoor hearts almost become irrelevant. There's so few combos of it that it's not really a consideration with like a 2/3 of a pot size bet left. Now, with that being said, though, I think you can't. You talk about playing a little bit exploitative. If you somehow got here with some sort of bluff in a spot like this, like you were structuring some sort of other gut shot, like 6-7 of spades, and you decided to continue to betting the turn, it's very hard for him to call down here. Now that you're going for value, I might actually, it's such a bad card for him based upon the way that you have played this hand, and it's such a good run out for you. I don't even know if I move all in here. I might size down just a little bit because it's really hard to get calls.
Yeah, I think I did not think too much at this point. I mean, I was not too much worried about backdoor hearts because I couldn't think of too many flushes that he would have at this point. So I ended up just jamming.
Well, but again, though, I understand. I agree with you. It's not that we're concerned about the fact that he has backdoor hearts. It's thinking about like what of his range gets here that can call. Now there's a one-liner out there to a 5. Now there are backdoor hearts. I see some people commenting in the chat. I think sometimes people forget. They're like king, queen of hearts, jack, 10 of hearts. All those hands aren't supposed to call with another guy in the hand on the flop. This was not a heads up flop. This is why picking up details of hand reading is very, very important in getting the details down of hand reading. And I know I've talked about one of the apps that I use, which a couple of the guys from the CLP community have actually developed, called Fastroll, where it allows you to take your exact hand down in a note format, and it allows you to build a database where you can go back and look at your hands and review them with other players and export them out. We've been talking about that app for quite some time. If anybody wants to check it out, you can actually use the code BART, just BART, and you get the first month for free off their yearly subscription. Whenever somebody's looking at a spot like this, it's very, very important to get the exact details down. And sometimes people will wash over, oh, he doesn't have those light backdoor hearts, especially if you were in a deeper type of scenario because of the fact that there's another guy who's in the hand multi-way. So I'm not concerned about hearts.
So what size would it just bet for 200 here?
Yeah, I think so. I think I might make like a bet like that, something somewhere around. I don't. It's just, man, it's really really hard. And again, like you say, like a little bit of exploitively. Whenever, I think Galfon said this once, like whenever your perceived range has a lot of value, you have to bet less and less often. And whenever your perceived range has a lot of bluffs, you should bet more for value more often. This is just a spot where it's just very, very hard. And I'm not saying check. I'm just saying that I think it probably dictates somewhat of a smaller sizing here. So you moved all in though.
Yes, I jammed and he quickly called. And do you want the reveal?
Yeah, what's the reveal?
He had 5 of spades, 2 of spades.
5 of spades, 2 of spades. Wow. 5 of spades, 2 of spades. Now, before anybody gets after this guy, because he knows he's a CLP sub, right? Remember, it was just hit straight open on the button. Now, we can talk about, is 5 deuce of spades a little bit on the lighter side, opening into 3 unknown hands? Maybe. But it's certainly going to be a bet continue, right? He's got up and down open-ended here on 9-4-3 with backdoor spades.
Yeah, and he had a backdoor. Yeah.
And he turned the nuts. Is that right? He turned the wheel, right?
Yes.
And didn't raise, which is kind of interesting. But I mean, obviously he could get the money in anyways. And then you made it on the river, right?
Yes, no, that was a bit bad turnout for him for sure. Yeah.
But do you understand what I'm saying about river sizing? I mean, it's like when you have a 5 here and you look at all the types of hands that he can have, there's just a lot more hands that he has here than just a 5. I mean, here you just got a little bit lucky that he turned the wheel. He turned the wheel and you made it at the end, you know?
He did ask me what was my plan if the river was a brick.
Yeah, what was your plan?
If it was a heart, I probably would. If it was like jack of hearts, maybe I probably would have jammed because backdoor flush comes in as well. And not that, I mean, I don't have too many flushes either, but it just makes it difficult for him slightly more.
Well, you have more flushes than he does, I think, because we just talked about that because his range is different. His range is different on the flop because he bet called. You have more flushes because you check raised, and you can do that with like you could have check raised here with Jack 10 of hearts if you didn't squeeze it, right? He can't bet call with that with another guy in the hand. That's my point. So when the ace of hearts rolls off on turn, you do have way more hearts. And I would think that you would want to recognize that and bluff a backdoor heart at the end. So it's an interesting one.
Yeah, because if I had sets, I mean, when I talked to the villain, he was saying that if I have a set, I'm gonna jam river anyway, and that's why he did not raise the turn, I think.
Well, I mean, just to, again, just to wrap this up, like say you had played this hand with a set of 4s, right? Or a set of 3s, okay, that didn't squeeze pre. Are you making the same bet at the end if you took this line?
Probably, I'm not sure, but I think not because one liner comes in, I guess. That makes it a bit more difficult. Yeah, I probably would not jam it, yes.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. So if you're not going to jam with a set, what's the difference between your hand and a set, besides the fact that you block some of the straights because you have a 5 in it? That was just initially my gut reaction in terms of the river sizing. Because, I mean, with a set, that's thick value. Here, 5-6 is thick value. So you kind of want to think along those lines. And I think a lot of people would be like, oh, yeah, if I had a set of 4s, a set of 3s, this is a terrible run out for the preflop raiser to like be able to call down. You should be thinking the same thing here with 5-6. I can see the guy actually here, Menace, in the live chat. That's pretty cool. He's the villain in the hand. I was the villain. I wasn't concerned about the flush myself either. Can't really fold facing 2/3. He can still bet sets because I don't have flushes. Bad call, but main lesson, don't open 5-2 suited pre-flop lads. Classic British slang there. Honestly, to Menace, who's out there, I don't know why. Yes, the 5 deuce suit. This is kind of cool that we've got both people on the line here. The 5 deuce suited open is a little bit light into 3 unknowns, but is it a mistake to not raise the turn? I don't think so, because like it's not that you just have the nuts. It's that you don't need to build the pot up, and your opponent can have bluffs here, which he did, by the way, right? And if by him calling, he might induce you to bluff the backdoor, which he would have called, right, with the 5 deuce. Plus on 9-4-3 ace, having 5 deuce means that you have the interior action killing cards that are going to bring the one-liners. A deuce came anyways, but that comes into play as well. Thank you very much for the call.